Good afternoon. Excuse me for being a little late. So we have some important information to impart on you today. I just want to say thank you for the councilwoman for being here, Councilwoman McGyver, Assemblyman Caputo here as well, the Commissioner, Catherine McCabe here with us, and obviously everyone should know Kareem Adeem, the Acting Director of Water and Sewer here in the city. It's not, though this is a complicated issue today, it's not so complicated. We have and are introducing the new corrosion control inhibitor into the water. As of today, we are introducing it, and in a few months, we are prayerful that we will begin to see the lead levels begin to drop in the city as this corrosion control optimizes throughout the Pequannock water system here in the city of Newark, or the homes that are affected by the Pequannock water system. We, our anticipation is that it'll drop the levels, and we will have safer levels of lead, reduced levels in the water for individuals here in the city of Newark. And that, along with the fact that we have repaired over 100 lead service lines already in the city, is good news that we are moving forward to correct a problem in our city. These lead service lines that have probably been here for hundreds of years, we are moving to replace them and have begun that already. But today, the great news is we're introducing the corrosion control inhibitor. With that being said, I'd like to allow Commissioner McCabe the opportunity to address you as well this morning from the DEP. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Kareem, for inviting us to join you to mark this important step in the long-term effort to address lead in the drinking water in the city of Newark. The Department of Environmental Protection, of course, takes very seriously the threat to public health that is posed by the lead that is in the older homes, not just here in Newark, but in many parts of our country. We are monitoring the work that the Newark Department of Water and Sewer is doing very closely. And I just want to remind you that it is a multi-step effort, and this is a big step today. Less than 2 months ago, of course, we were celebrating another step, which was we got out the shovels and we're starting the work on the lead line replacements, which the city is working on, and I'm sure Kareem will be telling you more about that, making good progress on that. And today, as the mayor said, marks the beginning of using the orthophosphate as the corrosion control for the water that is delivered to Newark and for 3 of the communities that also receive their water from Newark. But most importantly, I would like to remind the residents of Newark that they're in the interim until the system is fully under control and the new corrosion control is optimized, that there are steps that the Newark residents can and should be taking. Take advantage of the city's offer of free filters that will remove the lead from the drinking water. If you have a lead line in your home, or if you don't know, you can still contact the city to find out whether you have a lead line going into your home. And if you do, you can pick up a free filter as well as replacement cartridges. Newark has not been required under federal or state law to deliver these filters. They have volunteered to do it. But even more impressive to me is that the city of Newark has put that voluntary effort into writing under an enforceable consent decree. That they are obliged to continue providing these filters until the orthophosphate new treatment is working. So I think Newark has shown its good faith in taking these affirmative steps and making sure that the health of all its residents is protected. New Jersey DEP will continue, of course, to work with the city and to support them and to monitor those efforts to make sure that the water is as lead-free as it can possibly be, as soon as it possibly can be. So thank you again to the mayor and to Kareem for inviting us to join you here today.
At this time, I want to bring the interim director of Water and Sewer up, Kareem Adeem.
Good afternoon, Kareem Adeem. The city, several months ago, back in October, we rolled out a comprehensive plan, 4 steps. And today we're at that final step, and that was introducing the corrosion control into the system. Our first step was immediate reductions in lead levels, and we started giving out the point-of-use filters and the replacement cartridges a year supply. Later on, the next step was to replace lead services. Today, we've placed over 175 lead services. We average about 33 lead services a week. As the weather breaks and it continues to get better, we're looking to push that number up to 50. Our next phase was to continue to educate people on what we're doing and how to reduce lead levels, right, in their house. And we're continuing to do that. Through our rigorous program of testing in the first half of the year and the requirement that the DEP put on us to do this testing, we've noticed that we're not out of the woods yet, but we're expecting that we may see our 5th exceedance in July because of the earlier testing we did prior to today, putting the orthophosphate in. We're just going to take a while for it to optimize. And saying that, I'm a little touched because this really affects me a lot. Growing up in Newark, living in Newark, working in Newark, I have a real passion to make sure that we doing everything we need to do at all levels to reduce lead exposure in water. So in saying that, I'm going to bring up Sandy Cootson from CDM Smith.
Thank you, Kareem. My name is Sandy Kutzing with CDM Smith. I'm going to talk for a few minutes about the chemical orthophosphate. So the use of orthophosphate has been a successful approach for minimizing corrosion of lead-containing material in many water systems. In fact, it is the most widely used corrosion control treatment in the U.S. It's used in Wanacue and much of New Jersey. Once the draft Pequannock study was completed in October 2018, Newark immediately commenced design of a zinc orthophosphate feed system at a site that Newark owns in Montclair. The system was designed, permitted, bid out to contractors, equipment procured, installed, tested, and started up in under 7 months. All parties had to work diligently to meet this schedule. This includes Newark, CDM Smith, Hutton Construction, PCS, Sherwood Logan, the Township of Montclair, NJDEP, and the EPA. All parties understood the importance of this project for the residents of Newark and worked closely together to make this happen. The initial system was approved with 2 above-ground tanks with freeze protection. The 2 feed pumps will pump ortho from the tanks into the 60-inch water main. The system includes substantial amount of controls and safety features to provide for a consistent and safe operation. The system was set up to begin treatment as quickly as possible. While this is operating, additional work will be ongoing to eventually install permanent tanks below grade to preserve the residential environment in Montclair. Initially, Newark will be adding 0.5 part per million of orthophosphate, gradually increasing to 3 parts per million over several weeks. There is a potential for some temporary discoloration of water. If this is experienced, residents are advised to run their water until it runs clear. If the discoloration persists for more than a few minutes, we advise you to please contact the water department. Zinc orthophosphate was selected for its track record in reducing lead. It is a safe, food-grade additive. Orthophosphate essentially works as a coating on lead pipe and other plumbing material containing lead. 2 methods of protection are provided with the orthophosphate. The first is the orthophosphate works by tying up the lead that is in the water, and it forms a coating on the pipes. And then that coating on the pipes essentially acts as a physical barrier to prevent the water from being in contact with the walls of the lead pipe. So now that the system is operational, the areas in the city of Newark that receive water from the Pequannock water treatment plant and the towns that purchase water from Newark will receive orthophosphate. The Wanacue area already receiving this treatment. In order to move the orthophosphate through this large distribution system, Newark will be conducting some flushing of their mains. This is to help push along the orthophosphate so that we have a consistent level throughout the city. Regarding timeline and reduction of lead, it is important to know that every system is unique, and this is not going to be a problem that is resolved overnight. Every system is different. Some systems will see improvement within a matter of weeks. Others can take over a year to see significant improvement. We hope to start seeing a reduction in lead over the next 6 months, and for that reduction to continue until the system has stabilized. During implementation, several activities will be ongoing, including an extensive monitoring program and adjustments to the system as needed to eventually optimize the system. As Kareem mentioned, over 36,000 homes in Newark were provided with filters. We recommend that all residents in the Pequannock gradient continue to use their filters for drinking water and cooking water while the treatment is being implemented and optimized. This will allow the orthophosphate coating to take effect and build up on the pipes. Newark will keep the residents informed of the progress of the treatment. Thank you.
So we'll take a couple of, from the press, on-topic questions from the press as we go. Yes, ma'am.
After you spoke to some members of the media about a separate, but I'm relating it back to this issue, separate issue, the Legionnaires at the senior housing complex.
Yes, ma'am.
Some residents have raised questions or concerns about, since that is a waterborne bacteria, is Newark thinking about testing the water system at the source to see if any of that bacteria exists there, to see if anybody else is at risk, or if it is isolated?
Well, that's not how Legionnaires is transmitted, and so there's a lot of confusion about that process. And I know I've been listening to people and hear people saying that over and over again. But Legionnaires, when first of all, it lives in hot water, and when the water is heated up and cooled down and heated up again, this is what exacerbates the Legionnaires, and it is breathed in through mist. So through droplets and mist, it is not given to people through drinking water. It's not given to people through taking baths. It's not given to people through cooking. Those are two separate and complete different issues. You know, as in New York and other places, they have mostly Legionnaires happens in tall buildings and large buildings that have water towers or water coolers or systems, water systems in their building. So once the water gets into the system in that building, those things occur in that system. So the Legionnaires problem would not be a problem that we would have as it relates to the water source. It would be a problem that occur in specific buildings once it gets into the water system in that building.
The CDC website says that Legionnaires can exist in drinking water, and half of cases come from drinking water.
Well,
and it can exist in cool water. It'll just be dormant until the water is heated.
Right. Well, so we spoke to an epidemiologist who also said the same thing, who said it to the residents, that in fact, there is bacteria and all kinds of bacteria in water, period, right? So some of it is harmful, some of it is not. The Legionnaire bacteria may be in water, but it is not harmful. It becomes harmful when it's heated up and becomes active and it is breathed in through a mist. That is when it becomes dangerous and usually sits over a period of time in a cooling tower or goes through a system. To tell people that if we check for Legionnaires in cold water, and if they find any traces of Legionnaires, that in fact they are in jeopardy for getting Legionella bacteria, that would be a false statement.
But does the city test for Legionella as one of the many things I'm sure you test for?
Jerry Noddy. I'm gonna let Jerry Noddy.
Yeah, and the commissioner can speak to this. But federally, the water system undergoes all types of testing requirements. And if there's any incidence of Legionella that would be incurred through the source water, they would require that we analyze for that. Currently, that's not asked to be analyzed because what the mayor is saying is absolutely correct. And the commissioner can speak to this as well. Nationally, that's not a requirement. And the requirements are very stringent and rigorous as to what we need to test for. Currently, that's not, because it's not a pathway for Legionella to get into the systems. There have been recent occurrences of Legionella's disease that occurred in North Carolina, specifically at Duke University. Same thing. It's in a hot water situation, generally through cooling systems and that nature. Once again, federal government would mandate that through Safe Drinking Water Act, and it currently doesn't for good reason.
Can you say your name and title before you step away?
I'm currently a consultant for the city, but I'm the T4W4 license operator for the facility.
And your name?
Jerry Notte, N-O-T-T-E. I'm also a professional engineer in the state of New Jersey, and I worked for the North Jersey District Water Supply Commission as a license operator for over 22 years there as well.
And I don't know if Commissioner of the DEP, if you would want to comment on this. Is Legionella something that is required to test for, or could this potentially be an issue?
This is a new issue to me in Newark. I have been out of the country for the last few weeks, so I hadn't heard there was any Legionella problem here, but it is correct that it's not a standard parameter that you test for drinking water for. If it has occurred, it's typically associated with HVAC systems, as people have been describing, but anytime we see an outbreak of that, we definitely will be looking into what is the potential cause, and I will be asking about that immediately upon my return to the department.
Oh, the mayor. So is there a concern that the Legionnaires' outbreak could be a water treatment issue? Because in Michigan, when there was an outbreak, it was to low chlorine levels and probably disinfection of the water treatment,
No.
which allows the bacteria to multiply.
Right. At this point, there is no evidence that would say that that is the issue. There's been three, as a matter of fact, there's been 3 cases. One, because it happened in the building, does not mean that they actually got the Legionnaire, the bacteria from the actual building. The fact that 2 additional people had it there created for us the need to go and make the owners test where in fact the Legionella was coming from in the building. It's usually attributed to water systems that are in buildings already. So if there is additional places where people have Legionella, we'll test those, and I'm sure the DEP will require us to look in our drinking water. And even if we find levels of Legionella in the water, we chlorinate that, like you said, but ultimately the Legionnaire disease is extracted through mist, in systems, through heated water. It's breathed in. It is not drink. You can't drink it. You can't catch it on contact from one another. I can't give it to you. It is breathed in through mist and droplets, and not. You can drink the water. You can bathe in the water. You can cook the water. As a matter of fact, cooking actually helps it because it kills the bacteria itself. So, yeah.
Question about the lead service line replacements. My understanding is that a huge chunk of that's financed through the state's water bank. At the budget hearings earlier this year, Commissioner McCabe said that the bank would be running out of funds soon. So curious to get your perspective there, your perspective, sort of how you plan to finance the remaining $75 million.
So currently, every cycle, the infrastructure bank has a lot of money that's allocated to them. The federal government and our delegation from New Jersey, lead is a big issue all over the country, not just in New Jersey. They're fighting to put more money into those state revolving funds across the country. So in this upcoming fiscal budget, we're hoping to see more money put in from the federal government.
But is there enough to fund the continuation of the lead service line replacement? How long is the timeline that you have with the existing funds?
Currently, we have enough money to do the first 3 phases. Right.
I do want to add also that our federal delegation has been working hard for us to get more funding, and we did receive, based on a letter that we wrote to the national administration that I wrote a while ago, we did get a response from the EPA Region 2 responded to us about trying to find us additional revenue.
This new corrosion control treatment expected to have any effect on the city's past violations regarding disinfectant byproducts like haloacetic acid?
No, orthophosphate should not have any impact on the haloacetic acids or the trihalomethanes. It will allow for the city to keep pH down further, and so the orthophosphate can work at a lower pH than the silica treatment, which should help the situation.
Is there any connection between the lead, the turbidity, and the Legionnaires? Is there any type of connection between those three?
I wouldn't imagine, but have somebody come up who's an expert.
So these are independent issues. One is bacteriological, right, in this case, and as the mayor has pointed out and the commissioner has pointed out, these are isolated issues within hot water systems, HVAC systems. So that is separate and distinct. The city utilizes the best technology in terms of its water treatment and is dealing right now, when you talk about haloacetic acids are a direct result of chlorination. So the city's #1 priority is to make sure that the water is potable in terms of viruses, bacteria, and all things that are associated with those waterborne diseases. During that process, during chlorination, disinfection byproducts are formed. The federal government allows certain levels of that. They're elevated in the city right now due to simultaneous compliance, disinfection compliance, and other things. It has an aggressive plan that it's implementing to reduce disinfection byproducts, and the notices that went out to the city residents talking about that program defines that. The city will be actively, as a matter of fact, within the next 4 weeks, it'll be putting in a system to reduce disinfection byproducts. And in answer to your question, those are separate, distinct issues to which the city is addressing those that are under its control.
So the chlorination doesn't affect all three of these things?
Doesn't affect them?
Does
Well,
it?
well, obviously, chlorination is put in, filtration is put in to reduce things like cryptosporidium, giardia, things of that nature that need to be removed by filtration. Disinfection with proper contact time, which the city employs, will reduce viruses, bacteria, and the like.
This one is for the commissioner. Commissioner, you mentioned earlier that this orthophosphate treatment is widely used around the state. Now that Newark's is beginning to go into operation, are there any other major systems that remain without orthophosphate treatment?
Well, there's still one part of the Newark system that supplies Pequannock, is it Pequannock Township, Kareem, that still doesn't have the orthophosphate treatment. They still are working on a separate study for that. I would have to get back to you on whether there are any other systems that use silica. It is often used, as it was in the case of Newark, when you've got an open air reservoir that is part of in your water supply system, because if you put the orthophosphate in above where the water flows into the open reservoir, then you can get a problem with an algal bloom, which was why they originally chose to go with the silica solution here instead. So my understanding for this phase of the orthophosphate work here is that the orthophosphate is going to be put into the, is it the Valley? The Valley Water Treatment Plant that is below where the reservoir is, so that we won't have that problem of algal blooms. But there may be a handful of others in the state, and I could get that information for you.
Can you clarify the cities that are going to benefit from orthophosphate that purchase water from Newark and the cities that won't, because they're above the?
So the only city that won't benefit is Pequannock Township, right? They're before the orthophosphate treatment. So Belleville, Bloomfield, and Nutley will benefit from the orthophosphate treatment. Any one of our emergency customers, Wayne, East Orange, Passaic Valley, any one of the Boats water cell customers that's on standby.
How many customers will benefit from water?
How many customers?
People are served.
I don't have in Newark, we serve about 280,000
Just
for the city of Newark. I don't know the population of the other towns.
question.
Is the city going to launch another public relations outreach, a big push to let people know about this? Because they may think that the problem is solved.
So yes, the city is going to continue to do public education with our community meetings, our Facebook Live town halls, our robocalls, and press releases that we'll do. We'll continue to educate the public that we're not out of the woods yet. That's the first thing I kind of said when I stood up.
Also your newsletter.
Right. And our newsletter, we do a quarterly newsletter. It came out in March, the next one is due in June. We'll continue to update the public on the process we've made and the progress.
Actually, do we have a date for the first town hall?
Yes, it's next Tuesday
Next Tuesday is the first one we're doing, the Facebook Live Town Hall
at 7.
at 7 p.m. Related to this specific issue. Thank you for the questions. I appreciate you coming out today.